welcome back. You're watching The Money Show on ET now. It's time for our Spend with TMS segment. Real estate sales have been going through the roof. The last couple of months has seen a lot of action on that front, a lot of homes being sold to a lot of individuals. And this time around as well, what's interesting is that it is the low mortgage rates that's attracting a lot of individuals, the low interest rates on home loans that's attracting a lot of individuals. So if you as well are interested in buying a house, we decided to take forward that conversation of should you, where should you, how much will you pay for a house. I have with me Vikas Wadhawan, the Group CFO for Housing, Makan as well as PropTiger.com. Vikas, thanks so much for joining us today on the show. So to start with, let's understand what's really pulling so many individuals to the housing market.
So, Mobina, thanks for inviting me. Post the second wave of COVID, in fact, the need for housing, people have realized that it is very, very important to have a home because home potentially is the safest place since the pandemic started in March 2020. So we saw there was a lot of demand coming in, or at least the people started searching homes. There was a lot of kind of contraction in demand and supply in the month of April and May because of second wave of COVID. But since the month of June, we saw there was a lot of uptick in the activity which is happening on the demand side. There are a couple of interesting trends which is important to keep in mind. One, as I mentioned, the people have realized that home potentially is the safest place. And in this work from home environment, people are looking at upgrading their home because they need more space at home for their kids' education, online classes, for their work from home. So a lot of people who can afford, they are looking at upgrading their homes. The third important trend which we are seeing, because the equity markets are at an all-time high, people are seeing that are there any alternate safe investment opportunities, and what else than real estate, because real estate is one of the safest investment opportunity, and also it gives pretty decent returns over a longer period of time. So we are seeing a lot of long-term investors are also moving into real estate segment. So these are few things which are driving a lot of demand in the sector. If we look at the PropTiger real estate report for the last quarter, while April and May was quite disastrous, but June we saw a lot of activity, and June itself saw 50% of the sales for the whole quarter, which shows the kind of trend which we are seeing.
Vikas, to what extent were Indians also lured by the low prices? And also, do you continue to see that, especially in metro cities? We've seen a good pickup in sales in the NRC region, in the MMR region. Are prices still staying lower? Because in the last 1-2 years, in fact, in the last 5-6 years, the appreciation has just barely been 1-2%.
No, very, very relevant and pertinent question, Mubina. See, it's important to keep few factors in mind when we are talking about the pricing. See, over the last few years, while you've rightly said the prices have not gone up, but the cost of raw material is consistently going up. That's one. Second, for the developers, the cost of compliance with this GST, with RERA, the cost of compliance for the developer has gone up, which means their overall cost structures have completely changed. So I don't see that the pricing will remain same over the next few quarters. It's just that once we are out of this pandemic, once the activities come back on track, I see definitely the prices of the real estate will go up, which will bring a lot of vibrancy in the sector because the prices not going up basically takes away the investors from the market. Now, clearly, when the investors are looking at this market from a long-term perspective, the price appreciation is very, very relevant and bound to happen. It's happening. In tier 2 markets, we are clearly seeing the price appreciation has happened. In bigger markets, there was a stagnation for the last few years, but I can see clearly that this will going to come back over the next few quarters.
What about in smaller towns, because in this last 1 year, obviously a lot of individuals have also decided not to live in such expensive cities because it doesn't make sense. Do you think that I know I'm gonna ask you this from an investment perspective as well. Do you think that smaller towns today are offering more room for appreciation, for rental yields as well, from an investor perspective?
Absolutely. And this is not because of pandemic, I would say. Movina, there are two factors. One, definitely pandemic has kind of caused some kind of a reverse migration where people have moved away from bigger cities and have gone to smaller cities or have gone to at least the suburban areas where they're saying, okay, fine, if I have to go to office once in a week or twice a week, I'm happy traveling for an hour, but it's better to stay slightly away from the big city but stay in a bigger home and stay in a better home. That's one. The second big reason why in the smaller cities or in suburban areas, why I see is a better investment opportunities because the government clearly has a lot of focus on infrastructure development. And whenever the infrastructure development happens, the rub-off effect on the smaller cities and suburban areas is much larger than on the bigger cities. So clearly, these two factors will drive up the demand as well as the pricing in suburban areas as well as tier 2 cities.
You know, I was reading a report that Housing and Redco had co-authored, where you've spoken about what were the the parameters based on which customers are choosing a house. So share that with our viewers. Today, if somebody wants to buy a brand new house, obviously for self-consumption, let's keep investment bit aside, but for living purposes, what were the top things that they looked out for in the area, in the property?
So when you're buying a new house, I think the few factors which definitely take the center stage when the consumer is deciding. One is the developer going to deliver the house in time or not? That's one big factor which drives the decision. Second is how much does it going to cost me? Not only in terms of the direct cost, which is the price of the property, but also how much they have to pay in terms of GST or stamp duty and so on and so forth. And also the ancillary cost. Once I get the home, what will be the maintenance charges, how much my monthly bill will go up because of some of these incidental expenses are the deciding factors. Another important deciding factor is obviously the mortgage prices or the mortgage rate, which currently is at the lowest rate and which is helping us drive a lot of demand in the market and a lot of excitement, especially from the consumer side, who are the end users for the market. These are few factors which are important when the consumer decides to buy a property.
Vikas, I'm going to ask you to do a little crystal ball gazing for me now because, a lot of customers may still be on the sidelines. They're looking for a home, but then they're not looking for a home and, they're a little unsure of what to do yet. So based on what you said, the fact is that we are seeing raw material costs go up, right? Steel, cement, etc. Now it's also being coupled with good demand for homes. It's more so, I believe, for, ready-made homes rather than under construction homes. But nevertheless, it is there. So how do you see prices move? And I'm going to ask you for both segments, the metros as well as the tier 1, tier 2 towns.
You picked up the very, very relevant point. See, of late, what we have seen, the ready-to-move-in homes are definitely becoming a preferred choice for the consumer. And that's where even if we look at the composition of the number of properties listed on our platform in the new segment, the under construction versus ready to home, the composition of ready to home is increasing.
And I think with that, we're completely out of time as well on this episode. Thank you so much for watching. Stay tuned to ET Now.